दोस्तों स्वागत है आप सभी का हमारे YouTube चैनल मैथमेटिकल पाठशाला में। इन दिस लेक्चर वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस all the questions of modern algebra which was asked in GATE examination 2021 session. In that session they have asked total 5 questions from modern algebra section, and all the questions they have asked from the basic. One question is from group theory, 2 questions are from ring theory, 1 question is from field theory, and another 1 question is from group theory. So they have asked total 2 questions from group theory, 2 from ring theory, and 1 from field theory. Okay, let us begin with the problem number 1. The number of 5 silo subgroup in symmetric group S5 or of degree 5. So you have to count the number of 5 SSG in the symmetric group S5. I expect you all that you are good with basics, you are good with definitions. उसके बाद ही आप ये सोल्यूशन समझ सकते हैं, अदरवाइज आपको प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है. सो दे आर आस्किंग नंबर ऑफ 5 SSG in S5, a permutation group on 5 symbols. Let us find the order of this 5 SSG. What is order of S5? We know the order of Sn is n factorial, so order of S5 will be 5 factorial, which is 120. I can also write in the prime factorization. This will be 10 into 12, that is 2 square into 3. So I will have 2 square or 2 cube into 3 into 5. So order of S5 is 2 cube into 3 into 5. Order of 5 SSG, we know that this will be the largest power of 5 which divides this, but there is only one factor of 5, so the order of 5 SSG will be exactly 5. And we know that any subgroup with prime order is going to be a cyclic subgroup, because every group of prime order is cyclic. So basically we need to find total number of subgroups of order 5 in S5. So for cyclic subgroups we can find first number of elements of order 5. So let us count number of elements of order 5. See, 5 order elements, how they will look in S5. If I see the cycle decomposition, so that should be like this. There is only one cycle of length 5, because otherwise there will be no chance to get LCM 5 if I break my 5 into some partition. So for partition to be for LCM to be 5 of partition, I need only one cycle of length 5. This will look like, suppose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or you can choose 2, 3, 1, 4, 5, this type of cycle. How many cycles are there? Or basically you need to count number of cycles of length 5. So how many different cycles you can count? You can make. See, there is a formula that also you can use if you want, but we can go without that formula. See how? We need to count the number of 5 cycles. So for making different 5 cycles, what we need 5 symbols. We have already 5 symbols, so we need to choose 5 symbols out of 5 symbols. So what is the way? That is 5 choose 5. This symbol I am using for combination. I have 5 symbols, and out of 5 I need to pick 5 symbols. So that will give me a 5 cycle. But if I change any position of any element, I will get a distinct element. But what is the clearest way for that? Suppose if I fix 1 and if I move 2, 3, 4 of any single element, if I move, I will have a different element. Or suppose if I fix my 2 here and I change my 1, 3, 4, 5, any position of any element except 2, I will get a new element. So how many distinct elements are there? Exactly 5 minus 1 factorial. How? Because if I fix any element and if I move any other element, I am going to get a new element. So suppose I am fixing 1 and I have 2, 3, 4, 5 choices. I can move any element. So for that I have 4 factorial choices. So I have to fix one element and I can move rest 4 elements to get a new element. So I have total such combinations. So I will have 5 choose 5 will be 1. 5 minus 1 factorial will give me 24. So I have 24 elements of order 5. And now number of subgroups of order 5, this will be number of elements divided by phi of 5. So this is I am using the basic group theory that you all know. To count the number of cyclic subgroups, we have number of elements divided by phi of 5, because if I choose any element and if I take the generating set of that, so I will have distinct 5 minus 1 elements, that is nothing but phi of 5. And in case of p, you can use this formula also. So this will give me 24 divided by 4. So this will give me 6 subgroups, because if I choose any element and if I take the generating set, it will give me a subgroup, and rest 4 elements will be using on that. So I will have 6 distinct types of subgroups of order 5. So the correct answer will be answer 6 for this question. SN गेट वालों का फेवरेट है, हर साल एक नए क्वेश्चन वो SN पर पूछते हैं, कभी एलिमेंट पे कभी सब ग्रुप पे. क्वेश्चन नंबर 2 पे आते हैं. एंड अगर आपको ये क्वेश्चंस की पीडीएफ भी चाहिए तो ये पीडीएफ आपको हमारी एप्लीकेशन मैथमेटिकल पाठशाला से मिल सकती है. आप अगर वहाँ पे डाउनलोड करोगे तो उसके बाद कोर्सेज में जा करके एक गोएट का कोर्स मिलेगा, आपको वहाँ पर इनके फ्री पीडीएफ्स और जो वीडियो सॉल्यूशंस है वो दोनों मिल जाएंगे. लेट आई बी द आइडियल जनरेटेड बाय एक्स स्क्वायर प्लस एक्स प्लस 1. सो दिस आई इज गिवन बाय जनरेटेड बाय एक्स स्क्वायर प्लस एक्स प्लस 1 in the polynomial ring Z3x. You all know what is this Z3x, set of all polynomials over the field Z3. Then the number of units in the quotient ring R by I. So we need to count the number of rings, number of units in R by I structure. Let us observe one thing. Can I write this I like this? I am saying this ideal and this ideal both are same. See how? Because this x square plus x plus 1 is reducible over Z3. Because if you put 1, because in Z3 you are having 3 elements, 0, 1, 2, and rest are not a new element. Just like if you write 4, 5, 6, those are not new element. 4 will work like a 1, 5 will work like a 2. So every time you will get a 0, 1, 2, because this is a set of classes. X square plus x plus 1. If you put 1, then you will get 1 plus 1 plus 1, that is 3. But 3 means 0 in Z3, because if you divide with 3, you will get a remainder 0. So 1 is a root of this polynomial. Now how again I am saying 1 is a repeated root, because if you differentiate this, suppose this px is x square plus x plus 1. So if you differentiate this, you will get 2x plus 1. If you put again 1, you will get 2 plus 1, which is 3, which is 0 in Z3. So 1 is a root of its derivative also. That means this 1 is a repeated root. So I can say this x square plus x plus 1 is same as x minus 1 whole square in Z3 x. Now can I use Chinese remainder theorem here? No, I cannot use Chinese remainder theorem, because here if you write this ideal as a x minus 1 into x minus 1, those are not co-maximal ideals. So अगर आप definition आपको clear नहीं है तो आप ये चीज़ें relate नहीं कर सकते. So we cannot use Chinese remainder theorem here. So what we need to do here, let's observe. See, observe this structure. I can write in this format: a naught plus a1x plus ideal generated by x minus 1 whole squares, where a naught comma a1 are coming from Z3. See how I am writing this structure. This is a Z3x, and you are dividing every polynomial in Z3 with the polynomial of degree 2. तो अगर आप किसी भी 3 डिग्री पोलिनोमियल, 4 डिग्री पोलिनोमियल, 5 डिग्री पोलिनोमियल को अगर डिवाइड करोगे 2 डिग्री पोलिनोमियल से, तो हमेशा आपके पास लीनियर फैक्टर बचेंगे, क्योंकि 2 डिग्री के पोलिनोमियल को डिवाइड कर देगा, जो रिमाइंडर बचेगा वो कांस्टेंट होगा या 1 डिग्री का पोलिनोमियल होगा. सेम आगे वाले में, जैसे आप 4 डिग्री का या 5 डिग्री का डिवाइड करोगे, जैसे 5 डिग्री के पोलिनोमियल को डिवाइड कर रहे हो उससे, तो आपके पास जो रिमाइंडर बचेगा वो कुछ 1 डिग्री का बचेगा. तो आपके पास सारे लीनियर पोलिनोमियल एंड दिस इज आइडियल. सो दिस इज अ बेसिक structure of this z3x by x minus 1 ka whole square ideal. So this is the general form. So from here I can conclude that for A0 I have 3 choices, for A1 I have 3 choices. So I have 9 distinct elements in this ring. So this ring is isomorphic to some ring of order 9, but I do not know how many rings are there. In case of group theory, I know there are only 2 groups of order 9 because being of order p square. But in case of ring theory, I cannot conclude directly that there are exactly 2 rings of order p square or 3, because that is little bit complicated case, and that is again a standard problem. So for here, I have to identify which are my units and which are my zero divisors. One more thing, this Z3X is a commutative ring with unity. This is an ideal in this. So this quotient structure is nothing but a commutative ring with unity. And in a finite this is a finite ring because this contains exactly 9 elements. So this is a finite commutative ring with unity. So this R by I is finite commutative ring with unity. So this is a FCRU. In a finite commutative ring with unity, we have proved in our theory lecture, or you can also prove that in a finite commutative ring with unity, every non-zero non-unit element is a zero divisor, or vice versa. Every non-zero element is either a unit or a zero divisor. So either you count unit directly or you count zero divisor directly, you will get answer. We need to count the number of units. So you just subtract number of unity and number of zero divisors, then you will be having only units in this. And I can give you explicitly units also. So if you write the elements, suppose first I am fixing A0 to be 0 and I am varying this A1, I will have elements like this. This is x minus 1 whole square by choosing A1 to be 0. Then A1 to be 1 I can choose. So x plus, then I can have 2x plus ideal generated by x minus 1's whole square. So these are my 3 elements by fixing A0 to be 0. Now I am fixing A0 to be 1. I will have 1 plus x plus, I will have like this. Then I will have 1 plus 2x plus ideal generated by this. Then again I will work with A0 to be 2. Then I will have 2 plus ideal generated by x minus 1 whole square. Then I will have 2 plus x plus ideal generated by x minus 1 whole square, and I will have 2 plus 2x plus ideal generated with. Now what can you observe? You can directly observe this element and this element. This is a zero divisor. If I am expecting that you are aware with the operation of quotient ring or quotient structure. If you multiply this element and this element, what you will have? You will have 1 plus x into, you can take 2 common out, you will have 1 plus x ka whole square plus ideal generated with x minus 1 ka whole square. But this 1 plus x ka whole square will be merged into this. So this element and this element both are zero divisor. One thing is this, and you can also observe there is no other zero divisor. So this is a zero divisor, this is a zero divisor, and this is already an identity element. This is a zero element, and other than any element, no one is zero divisor. Every element is a unit, because we know that in a finite commutative ring with unity, every non-zero element is either a zero divisor or a unit. So that is a simple statement, you can prove by yourself also. So this is a zero divisor, this is a zero divisor, and this is a zero element, and rest elements are units. So how many units are there? There are exactly 6 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So the number of units will be 6. So this was one of the standard question. Now question number 3. Let Z denote the ring of integers. Consider the subring. We have given this R, which is of the form a plus b square root of minus 17, where ab belongs to Z in complex field. Basically you can treat this is nothing but if you are aware of algebraic number theory topic, then this is nothing but ring of integers of k, where k I can choose q square root of minus 17, because here minus 17 is congruent to 3 mod 4. So this is my OK. This you can also write in this format. So this is a ring of integers of a imaginary quadratic field. This is a imaginary quadratic field, because this minus is, square root of minus 17 is a imaginary number. So this is a ring of integers of imaginary quadratic field. So this thing I have taught you in our theory lectures of ring theory. I have given a brief introduction to OK, the ring of integers, and I have already explained why I have chosen this is 3 mod 4, and if this is 1 mod 4, then case is different. But if you do not know these things, don't get panic. But if you are aware of these things, then this question will be easy for you. They are asking about this element 2 plus square root of minus 17. What can you say about this element, whether this is an irreducible element or prime element? So let us verify first the irreducibility criteria. You know, if this element is irreducible, then you can write this element as a product of two distinct elements CD, where C comma D are coming from this OK, which is nothing but Z square root of minus 17. So they will look like A plus B square root of minus 17 comma some A1 plus B1 square root of minus 17 for some integer A1, B1, A2, B2. So this is the, and this C and D should not be unit, because we are seeking for irreducible element. If it is irreducible, that means the C and D both are not unit element. Now you know, we can apply the norm on this. So if I take the norm both side, I will have 2 plus square root of minus 17. I will have norm of CD, but I know that norm is a multiplicative function. This norm I have defined in theory lecture in Euclidean domain. So this norm will be norm of C, norm of D. What is the norm of this? See, I can write here norm of any element in this will be A square plus B square 17. So this is the norm on this structure. There is another way to write this norm. For that you just need to be good in Galois theory. So फर्स्ट आपको एम्बेडिंग्स मालूम होनी चाहिए. यहाँ पर दो एम्बेडिंग एग्जिस्ट करेंगी, एक आइडेंटिटी मैपिंग और दूसरी होगी जो माइनस स्क्वायर रूट ऑफ 17 को भेजेगी नेगेटिव ऑफ स्क्वायर रूट ऑफ नेगेटिव 17. अगर आप उन दोनों का प्रोडक्ट करोगे यू विल गेट द नॉर्म ऑफ एनी एलिमेंट. सो यू आर हैविंग अ टू एम्बेडिंग्स. लेट मी राइट हियर दिस tau 1 will send square root of 7 to square root of minus 17. Sorry, this is, and second embedding will be, so these are two coming from the Galois theory. You are having two embeddings by which you can say there are only two automorphism from this q square root of minus 17 to q square root of minus 17. One is the identity map and another one is this, and there is no other embedding other than these two. So if you want to find the norm of any element, you just take the product of both embeddings. So if you want to find the norm of this A plus B square root of minus 17, so you just take product of tau 1 and tau 2. This is A plus B square root of minus 17 and tau 2 is A plus B square root of minus 17. We know that automorphism fixes every rational number, so they will not be changing on rationals. अगर ये आपके थोड़े ऊपर से जा रहा हो तो कोई प्रॉब्लम वाली बात नहीं है, आप इन जनरल तरीके से भी कर सकते हो, बट दिस इज द एब्स्ट्रैक्ट वे. this tau 1 is an identity mapping because it is fixing this square root of minus 17, and it also fixes the rational being an embedding. So it will fix a plus b square root of minus 17. So it will be going to a plus b square root of minus 17, and this tau 2, see, every embedding fixes a rational number. So it will fix rational number a because a and b are integers, so they are all automatically rationals. So this will fix rational, and being an embedding, it is an homomorphism. So this will be a minus b square root of minus 17. This is because this is not the identity map. This is other than identity. So it will be a square plus b square 17. So this is how we get the norm. So this is the norm here. So norm here will be, you can see, I am removing this part. So the norm will be 4 plus 17, which is 21. So norm of C into norm of D, it will be 21. So this you can write 3 into 7, and we also know that norm of x is plus minus 1 if and only if x is unit. This is true in every number field K. Number field is a new name for K, you can say, for U, but if you are aware of the algebraic number theories, then this will be a standard name. So norm of x is plus minus 1 if and only if x is unit. This is a simple fact you can prove. So norm of C into norm of D is 3 into 7, and we are looking for a non-trivial factorization of this. Non-trivial means in the sense of unit. So norm of C, one of the element among C and D will have norm 3. So I can say norm of C says 3 for a non-trivial, and norm of D is 7. But you can see norm of C, how this C look like. I can say this C is looking like A1 plus B square B1 square root of minus 17. So this will imply norm of C will be A1 square plus B1 square 17 barabar 3. I will have this, where A1 and B1 are integers because it is coming from this OK structure. This equation does not have any solution that you can verify because A1 is an integer, B1 is an integer. If you take B1 to be non-zero, then this will be greater than 17. So this will give you no solution. If you take B1 to be 0, then you will have A1 square barabar 3. But it does not have any integer solution because you are choosing A and B are from integer. So this is not possible that any element has norm 3 and 7 in this structure. No element have 3 or 7 norm. That means one of the element has to be norm with plus minus 1, and if it is norm is plus minus 1, then that element is going to be a unit, and if any element from C or D is unit, then this is an irreducible element. So this is an irreducible element. You cannot write or you cannot reduce it further. So this is an irreducible element. So P statement is true, that 2 plus square root of minus 17 is an irreducible element. What about prime? We have this element 2 plus square root of minus 17. You know the definition of prime, that is, if any element divides AB, then either that element divides A or that element divides B, then we say this element is going to be a prime element. See, आपको जो भी structure given है, जो भी element given है, you just think the simplest case. This is the conjugate of this. Then what will be the product? The product will be this will be 21. You can write this in this format. So you can say here this 2 plus square root of minus 17 and 2 minus square root of minus 17, or you can say this divides 21, which is 3 into 7, because you know the definition of divide. This into this is equal to 3 into 7. That means this element is dividing 3 into 7. And if it is prime element, then this will either divide this or this will divide this. But I am claiming this element does not divide 3 and 7 both. See how? If 2 plus square root of minus 17 divides 3, this implies there must exist some element, say E, and this E must be a member of ring, and this ring is OK, such that you will have this. And in most of the cases you have to use the norm and trace. Trace may be a new word for you, but this is a standard term which is used in algebraic number theory. So this is the definition of divide. This will imply you take norm on both sides. So you will have, we know that norm is a multiplicative function, so norm of this into norm of this. We already know norm here is 21. So this is 21 and norm here will be, say, norm of E. What is the norm of 3? We know that norm of any element will be of this form. Here B is 0, so norm of 3 will be 9. So you will have 9 is equal to 21 into norm of E. But this is a contradiction, because norm is always an integer. So 21 into some integer you cannot get 9. So this is not possible. That means this does not divide 3. Same argument for 7. If you take this divides 7, then you will have norm of 7 is equal to 21 into norm of some other element. But norm of 7 will be 49. But 21 into some integer you cannot get 49. So that is again a contradiction. So this element is a non-prime element. So P is true and Q is false. So C option will be correct here. Let's come to the question number 4. This is from group theory. Let G be a group of order 5 power 4 with center having order of Z of G. The ZG symbol I am using for the center element. Set of all those elements which commutes with every element of G. This is 5 square. From here you can conclude that this G is going to be a non-abelian group, because in a abelian group ZG and G are always same. So this implies G is non-abelian. Then the number of conjugacy classes in G. So they are asking number of conjugacy classes in G. See, what is the definition of conjugate class? There are two ways. Either you can go the way I have taught you in classes, and there is another way by using the group action. Both commute further. So whichever method you like you can use. I am using the way that I have used in theory lectures. So we have to write 5 power 4 So this is the definition of class equation. 5 power 4 is equal to summation class of A, where cardinality of class of A. Cardinality of class of A, where A is varying over ZG. Yani ki, this is the sum where every element is coming from the integer, and this is the sum of cardinality of classes where sum is varying over elements which are not in center. See, अगर कोई एलिमेंट सेंटर में होता है तो उसकी क्लास में हमेशा एक सिंगलटन एलिमेंट होता है, दैट एलिमेंट्स इज इटसेल्फ. सो यू कैन राइट इन दिस फॉर्मेट आल्सो, because in ZG every element has only single element in its class, and that element is itself. And you also know the cardinality of class is given by order of G divided with order of normalizer of A. because there is one-to-one correspondence between class of A and order of G quotient with normalizer of A. So this you should know, this theory that I have given with proof in theory lectures. How many elements are in center? Exactly 5 square. So you can say this is 1 plus 1 plus 1. And how many times? 5 square times. Plus, now question remains, how many elements in class when A is not in the center? So for this you can use this relation. We know that, see, this group is non-abelian, so we know that center is properly contained in normalizer of A, where this A is a non-identity element, because if you choose A to be identity element, then normalizer of E will be whole group. So this is a relation that you can prove easily. If group is non-abelian, then center is properly contained in normalizer, where A is non-identity element, and normalizer is properly contained in G. Now you see the order. Here order is 5 square. So if you take order, it will become less than but not equal to, less than but not equal to, and order of G is 5 power 4. And normalizer is a subgroup of G, so this must divide 5 power 4. I should write order of normalizer. So what is the possible order of normalizer? It will be 5 power 3. So this relation will give you order of normalizer, it will be 5 power 3. If order of normalizer is 5 power 3, so what is the order of this? Order of G divided with order of normalizer of it will be 5 power 4 divided with 5 power 3, that will be 5. So you will have 5 plus 5 plus 5. How many times? As many as times your A is not in ZG. Sorry, not in ZG, that is not true. Then it will exceed this sum. So you will have 5 power 4 plus 1 plus, so let us assume it to be say k times. So that k you can count, so it will be 5 power 4 minus this 1 plus 1, this is 5 square time, so it will be 5 square divided with 5, this will be your k value. So k value will be, you can take 5 cube minus 5, this is 120. So this k is 120, that means how many times this is? This is exactly 120 times. Now they are asking the number of conjugacy classes. How many classes are there? See, this is one class, this is one class, this is one class. So there are, you are having 25 classes, and here you are having 120 classes. So there are total 120 plus 25 classes. These classes for the center elements and these classes for non-center elements. So answer will be 145 here. Now let's come to the last question of this segment. Let F be a finite field and F star be the group of all non-zero elements of F under multiplication. See, this is a finite field. So what comes first in your mind? Order of F is finite. We know that order of a finite field is never divisible by two distinct primes. So it has to be divisible by a single prime. So you can say this is say p to the power k, where p is prime and k is some natural number. So this is the possible order of this finite field. I can say this F star, then what will be the order of F star? This F star is a ring, is a group under multiplication, so its order will be p power k minus 1, because you are taking a non-zero element and there is only one zero element, that is a zero element, and if you remove that element, every element is a unit. So you will have p power k minus 1. So 1 you have removed the zero element from this. So this is the order of F power F star. If F star has a subgroup of order 17, we have given H is a subgroup of F star with order of F star is 17. You know the Lagrange theorem, order of subgroup divides order of group. So I can surely say this 17 divides p power k minus 1. They are asking the smallest possible order of the field. What can be the smallest possible order of the field? So you have to take the possible cases, possible choices for p and k. So what are those choices? So that this 17 divides this p power k minus 1, and you have to choose the smallest choice. That means you have to make this p power k minus 1 is a multiple of 17. So it should be 17, 34. I am writing 5 or 6 choices. 51, 68, 85, 102. इससे अपना काम चल जाएगा. अगर काम नहीं चलता तो I would have written some more multiples of 17. Can you give me a solution of this equation? P power k minus 1 is equal to 17. No, because you cannot give me any prime or natural number k so that this p power k minus 1 is 17, or this p power k is equal to 18. You cannot give me. Same argument for this, same argument for this, same argument for this, same argument for this. You cannot give me any prime p and k so that p power k minus 1 will be 85 or p power k will be 86. You cannot give me. But if you see this case, p power k minus 1 you can make 102, because you know that 103 is a prime number. So you can choose your p to be 103 and k to be 1. So this is the smallest possible choice. And how would you claim that 103 is a prime? Try to argue in a better way why this 103 is a prime. So you look for the factors of just half of this, or you can say not half, you can see the factors which are less than or equal to the square root of 103. Then you will get why this 103 is a prime number. So this is a nice homework. If you know how to work with 103, you can sometimes work with some larger numbers also, which are in 3 digits. You can work. So the answer will be 103 here. I hope आपको सारे क्वेश्चन समझ में आए होंगे. अगर उसके बाद भी आपको कुछ डाउट है तो आप एक बार थ्योरी को अच्छे से पढ़िए, उसके बाद दोबारा से खुद से सॉल्व कीजिए. या फिर भी अगर कोई डाउट है तो आप हमें व्हाट्सएप पे कांटेक्ट कर सकते हैं या आप हमारी एप्लीकेशन पर भी विजिट कर सकते हैं. थैंक्स फॉर वॉचिंग दिस लेक्चर. इफ़ यू हैव एनी सजेशन फॉर अस, यू आर ऑलवेज वेलकम.